to our next
Take
match.
Take that to the bank. Oh, go ahead.
Which I know in this next match, I'm going to be interested to see who you pick. I know who you're going to pick to win, but I know you actually like the other fighter.
They're my two favorite fighters in the heavyweight division. I can honestly say that. I like both of them because they just don't. Well, you can't say you don't look like a fighter, but they don't. You know, they're kind of both of them a little heavy set. Their stature, they're shorter stature. They're not real big, massive, tall guys, 6'4", 6'5", and that's Daniel Cormier and Roy Nelson.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see what the scale tips in at, because Roy Nelson has gone out and told Daniel Cormier the first one to 205 fights John Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the weigh-in and see what they both come in at. And to me, this will be more telling for Daniel Cormier and how serious he's taking this weight cut and how he's been talking cash shit and if he really wants to move to 205. If he really wants to move to 205, I'm guessing he should be on the scale 220, 225, 230. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he comes in at 250 or 260, then to me, he's not taking this move to 205 too serious.
Well, whatever the case, whatever the fuck these guys come in at, it is a interesting matchup, George, because you got two guys that are they both are incredible on the ground. You know, they both have a great history and background on the ground, whether it be jiu-jitsu, wrestling, grappling. They're just phenomenal on the ground. And both of them, surprisingly, for the way they build, have really fucking nasty hands and a lot of knockout power.
Powerful hands. Yeah.
Powerful hands. And, so, I mean, I don't know, you know, I would definitely give it to DC because he has beat some of the people that Nelson obviously has not beat. And he is proven to be, you know, when Nelson has gone up against these guys, you know, that are worthy opponents, he's fell short. Whereas Daniel Cormier has got the job done and he holds the title, you know,
put it this way.
Held a title. Mm-hmm.
I honestly want Roy Nelson to win. And I just hope Daniel Cormier doesn't come out and do what he did against Frank Mir. Because if he's going to go up and press bellies and hold Roy Nelson against the cage for 15 minutes, it's going to be hard to convince Dana that you should get a title shot, because Dana's not going to put that type of fighter in on a title shot right now, because Dana is more about selling tickets and putting on an exciting fight. And if Daniel Cormier comes out and tries to just smother Roy Nelson against the cage, I don't give a shit what weight he cuts to. To me, it's going to be hard for him to sell himself as a title contender if that's the way he's going to win fights. I think that's going to be tough for him.
I mean, I like both of these guys. I can actually say that I probably like Roy Nelson a little bit more as a fighter. You know, but
he's entertaining. He's a showman. He's entertaining. He puts on a show. He gets involved with the fans. DC's more business-like. He has a very business approach to this. He's a lot like John Jones. He wants to go out and he's going to find a way to win. Nothing wrong with that. When you are the champ, when you have the belt, it's all about finding a way to win. When you're trying to vie for the belt, you need to do it in an exciting fashion and get your name out there and get your style out there and go, hey, Dana, look at me. You have to give Dana a reason to select you. Smothering a guy on the mat or up against the cage, to me, I don't think Dana's going to go with that.
You know, you're right. And now this is the thing, and this is what I was getting at, is because of what you said, I like Roy Nelson better. I'm more of a fan of Roy Nelson, and DC is a close second, a very close second. I hate to say this, but if I want the outcome to be DC to beat Roy Nelson and beat him easily, because I feel like if Roy Nelson wins, he's not going to get a shot because he's had shots and he falls short. If DC barely beats Roy Nelson, it's not, like you said, it's not going to be impressive enough. So you're not going to see any mix up in the heavyweight class. And I'd like to see at least DC get a shot so there's some new blood up there, there's some mix up. And I want to see eventually, if he's not going to go to 205, I want to see them force him to fight his training partner, Cain Velasquez.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
If Velasquez can get past JDS again, which will roll right into that fight.
Right. Now, with that said, Cain Velasquez has got to come out of this fight still holding the belt. Because if he doesn't, put it this way, let's say DC knocks Roy Nelson clean the fuck out at any point during this fight. And Cain Velasquez drops the belt, I think that automatically catapults Daniel Cormier right to a title fight.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. It does. And now if DC knocks out Roy Nelson and then Velasquez beats JDS, I think what you're going to see is, I think under any circumstances, if Daniel Cormier wins the fight, he doesn't even have to, if he wins the fight and JDS wins the fight, then I think Daniel Cormier gets the next shot at JDS. I think that happens no matter what. I think now if Cain Velasquez wins the fight and DC wins the fight, then you could see them trying to talk about shit and shit getting dilly-dallied, impossible DC saying, okay, fuck it, I'm dropping to 205, Dana. Will you give me the first crack at John Jones if I can make the weight? I think that's how that'll play out. But we'll talk about, who do you have? I got DC winning the fight. I think he's going to win the fight.
I think Daniel Cormier is a more well-rounded fighter. I think he's going to win, but I don't want him to win. If I was betting, I'd put my money on DC, just because I think he's strong enough and crafty enough to hold Roy Nelson up against the cage. And I think that's his best shot at winning, because I think Roy Nelson is a little craftier creating openings for himself, like we saw against Chech. Like he feinted one way to see what would happen. He reacted and then knocked the dude completely the fuck out.
Yeah, I agree with you.